Okay, nice. All right, so good afternoon. How's everyone? I hope everyone's feeling okay today. It's our second and final course day, so you should be feeling great. There's only one module we'll cover today, and that's leadership styles. So I hope you can give me your best effort for this module. Personally, I like this module a lot, which is, I guess, also why I'm giving the module. Because NCOship is fundamentally about leadership, right? And while it seems like a really big and intimidating thing, you may find yourself unconsciously in leadership positions somewhere and somehow. One day you will become an NCO. Your seniors have done that. So will you. So will your juniors. And we're not always prepared, right? In fact, most of the time we're not prepared at all. But that's what makes this fun, right? And that's why we're here today, to discuss this lifelong question of what being a leader means. So for that, for you, what does being a leader mean to you? So in the spirit of upcoming Christmas, let's do a fun activity called the Gingerbread Man. So you can see I have a sample. This gingerbread character will be your so-called leader. On his body, you can write a few characteristics of what you think makes a good leader. So here you can see my gingerbread has some foresight that are attached to his eyes, a cheerful smile, a kind heart, and his feet is grounded in values. You get the joke? Okay, never mind. So anyways, draw out your gingerbread man on paper and upload your drawing onto a link. Okay, so I'll send the link now in the chat. All right, so I've uploaded the link on the chat. And I think everyone has seen the sample, right? So I'll stop sharing for a while to show you guys what we did last year. Okay, so this is what we did last year. And you can see that some of them might be your seniors in core. So like a drawing as well as their names, their core, and then a caption. Yeah, so this is a perfect example of how the activity should look like. I think I'll give about 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, we'll get back to the lecture again. Yep. Take about 2 more minutes. We'll scroll through this at 1:08. So 2 more minutes. 1 more minute. Okay, it's 1:08 now. Do you guys need more time to maybe share your gingerbread figures? Oh, they're streaming in now, but okay, I think maybe you'll need a bit more time. So maybe I'll just give 2 more minutes until 1:10. Yeah, try to upload it by then. Some of them look quite creative. I like the one by Kieran.
I also like the one by Kieran. Interesting. One by Adele. I'm sorry, I don't know. Miracle Wolf. I also like it. Very nicely drawn.
It's Ethel.
Ethel. Okay. Thank you for letting me know.
All right, so it's 1:10 now. I'll just go through some of these drawings as well as last year's drawings. So just like throughout the lecture, right, we'll be focusing, we'll keep coming back to your gingerbread figures because this is what a leader means to you, right? So like just continue to add on to your gingerbread figures. And at any point in time as I'm going through a lecture, you can just upload your gingerbread figures onto the page. First, I understand now like it's a bit hard to upload in such a short time and to like draw and be creative, I guess. Okay, so we do have a few responses, quite a lot actually. But I'm sure more will come with time. Yep. So these are all really cute, and I like how some of you guys have used like other mediums as well, like Kieran, I think Andrew as well. Or is this drawn on paper? Yeah, but what's important is for especially for those that drew online, right? Keep a copy online and make it editable so you can continue to add on to it. Yep. Then you can post an updated one like at the end of the lecture, because we'll be updating these values as we go along in the lecture. Okay, I see some of you talk about the mental like creativity and being rational and observant. Okay, so I see many like different values here and also like some similar values. But what matters is take the time in the lecture and now to think about what values matter to you as an individual. Because this is not about like what kind of leader like that person is or like what kind of leader your senior is. It's about what kind of leader you want to be, right? So these values are the values that you find most important, not something that maybe someone tells you, hey, I think like it's important for someone to be kind, or it's important to be for someone to be this or that. Yeah. Okay, we'll get back to our lecture for now. Okay, so now that we've drawn our gingerbread man, let's think of the following questions. Who is some leaders in your life? And after you think of these people, think about what makes them leaders. And so what then is a leader in your opinion? While you guys think of your responses, I'll just split you guys up into your breakout rooms where you can share them with your friends. Or the officers, can one of you help me share the breakout rooms because I don't have the function. Okay, nice. So I hope that was a fruitful sharing. I too have many leaders in my life. Most memorably, the leaders that I've met in army. So yeah, this is just me getting punished in the army. So my commanders in army were strict and they were sometimes like really scary, but they're always efficient. So I think that's what defines a leader to me. Not someone who is scary and and harsh and scolds me, but
Sorry,
some
Tony.
yeah.
The breakout room is still closing in 12 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll wait
Sorry,
then.
man.
No problem. My bad for not seeing. Okay, well, thanks everyone for being here so early. We'll wait for a bit more.
Everyone's back.
Everyone's back? Okay, nice. So I hope for those that just came back that you had a fruitful sharing with your team for sales. So I was just telling the people who just came back earlier that like I too have many leaders in my life. And the leaders are not shown in this picture, but basically they're the ones who have made me knock it down like in this position. So the leaders in army that I had were really strict and they were sometimes like really, really scary, but they're always very efficient. But it's not about how strict or scary they are. But I feel that a leader is someone who can guide his or her followers to achieve the intended goals, who can see the bigger picture and lead the team to this picture. So in army, efficiency is like really important, right? So therefore, army leaders are demanding because they have to be efficient. Okay, but so now let's get our heads back into our lecture. Today we'll be talking about 4 very basic types of leadership. We'll discuss the pros and cons, the good and bads of each one, and we'll discuss values that all leaders share. And lastly, the most important thing is, of course, to actually use what we discuss, because you're eventually going to be leading your juniors, your peers, and even yourself in the coming future. Yeah. Okay. So basically, to sum up this, like leadership comes very much with self-awareness. So that is, think about all of like the contents we cover in your context as we go through these slides. And as we talk about different styles of leadership, think of them as like different clothes that you wear on yourself. So you choose the clothes to wear and not the other way around. The clothes don't choose you, if that makes sense. So without further ado, let's begin with the first type of clothes or leadership, democratic leaders. So democratic leaders, they distribute the responsibility amongst members. Everybody in the team has an equal say in the decision making, and the leader listens to everyone, considers their opinion, thinks about it, and then the leader makes the final decision, the final say. Okay, so what might some qualities be that democratic leaders show? Let's see. Maybe I can get someone to share on this. Or you can type on the chat box as well if you have an answer to this. So what are some qualities that you might expect from like a democratic leader? You can type your responses in the chat box. So maybe they are like, I shouldn't be giving answers actually. Open-minded? Okay, that's a good one. Maybe a few more responses. Thanks, Melody, for the response. Open-minded. Is there any more? Awareness. Okay, so Dana, that's actually a good point. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. But for awareness, hold on to that because we're soon going to talk about awareness as well in this lecture. The leaders allow the people in the team to participate more actively. Creativity, fairness, respect. Okay, these are all really good responses. So thank you, everyone. I think all of you, I mean, at least for those that have responded, you definitely get the idea of how democratic leaders work, how they like include people in the discussion. And just as you said, democratic leaders have to be fair, they have to show that respect, their communication, and they have to be open-minded, right? So some other some other qualities that you all might want to talk about is maybe patience, being good communicators. They need to be listeners as well. Maybe they need foresight as well. So like maybe I'll talk about foresight. Why would leaders need foresight? Because as democratic leaders, if you listen to everyone, there's gonna be many opinions that's coming in. So how do you know like which one to listen to or how to make the final decision? So you have to see the bigger picture, right? Okay. So what might some obstacles be that such leaders face, and what do you need to be a successful leader? So we'll take a look at the answers to these questions in the next slide, the pros and cons of democratic leadership. So democratic leaders are great motivators because everyone in the team gets to like say their opinion, say what they think. And in the long run, this creates like a very strong and productive team. So as an NCO, an example would be, let's say, if your NCO asks for your feedback at the end of the training, like how can we make the next training more fun or better? Although I'm not sure whether like y'all can relate to this because now with COVID, there's very little like physical training sessions. But imagine that there was a physical training session or an online Zoom session, and afterwards, if an NCO asks, "Hey, how can we make this even better for you guys? How do you think we can like allow you all to learn better?" That's feedback, right? They're asking for your opinion. So that could be an example of democratic leadership. But on the other hand, like what challenges come to this is that first of all, like because you have like if let's say you have 10 cadets, you have 10 different decisions coming in, it's gonna be very time consuming to listen to everybody. And let's say like everybody has different views. What should the next training be about? Someone says, I want food drill. Someone says, I want first aid. Someone says physical training. Someone says, I want to just play sports. Another person wants to just go home. So many conflicting beliefs. So when that happens, like you can't cater to everyone, the training can't possibly be everything. So while somebody might feel happy, everybody else might be like, hey, this leader is not listening to me. So that can actually backfire when people think that they're being ignored, and you like sort of end up being like you sort of feel sorry to everybody that you couldn't please. So that's a danger of democratic leadership. Okay, so now let's look at when democratic leadership works. Oh, I saw another 2 responses, respectful and humorous. Thanks for the response. Okay, so when does democratic leadership work? Democratic leadership works when your team is experienced. So an example I can think off my head is, let's say you told a farmer to fish and you told like fishermen to farm, right? Then like none of them are gonna have the experience to give you a right answer or a good answer. The fishermen can't farm properly, the farmers can't fish. And like if you're depending on them for their opinion, you're gonna end up making a lot of bad decisions, right? So you can only listen to people's opinions when they're actually experienced enough in the matter. So in St. John, maybe that means the more senior cadets who have been in the CCA for a longer time, they know like sort of what to expect from training, they know the syllabus well, so they can actually inform you with productive discussions. Yeah. Okay, so next we have autocratic leaders. So these guys are strong, firm leaders that make decisions unilaterally. So basically it means they make it by themselves. They don't really consult or get feedback from the team. So again, let's think of this in a St. John context. Imagine you're participating in a regular training session. I want to hear from you guys, like what kind of leaders do you think are autocratic, and when do you think they should be autocratic? Or maybe just when. Okay, so like let's say you're in a St. John context, participating in training, when do you think a leader should be like this, like making decisions by themselves, doesn't really consult the team? Okay, thanks, Melody. So when your team doesn't listen, definitely when everyone's arguing, a female response. When the team is inexperienced, and okay, that's a good point. When you're tight on time, okay. Nice. So yes, all these are like the answers that I was hoping to hear. Now, of course, there are many more answers to these questions, just many more scenarios where autocratic leadership can be beneficial, even though like these leaders are so scary, right? So let's take a look at the pros and cons of this leadership. So just as you guys said, autocratic leaders are firm and decisive. So the good thing is you can make decisions really fast. So just now, I think Andrew brought up a point about the deadlines. Andrew brought up a point about inexperience. Okay, we'll get to that. So there was a point about like when you're tight on time, when you need to be productive and fast. And Melody said when your team doesn't listen to you. So that's correct, because autocratic leadership works fantastically here when you can make decisions quickly and you can keep the team productive, right? But the bad part is, the team might end up feeling a bit like ignored. The team synergy is not as high, the chemistry between your team is not as high, and there isn't much creativity because it's just one person giving his opinions, right? Yeah. So how can we make this form of leadership then work? So in our heads, maybe we think autocratic leadership are just like this NCO that scolds you and screams at you and is very scary. But actually, you can be an autocratic leader, as in you can make decisions by yourself, but still maintain like these conditions. You can still respect your members. You can still communicate and explain like, hey, actually, like I did this because of blah blah blah, to let them understand like your decision making. And it's not totally like a one-man show. When you're consistent in your behavior and give them platforms in other places to like hear their feedback. And as Andrew, as you said, like when team members are unskilled and inexperienced. So why then is it necessary? Maybe Andrew can share a bit more on your point. And Andrew, are you there?
Hello, yes.
Hi, so you were talking about how team members, this leadership works when the team members are inexperienced, right? So why do you think this autocratic leadership will be necessary?
Okay, because if I'm not wrong, if they're like inexperienced, they won't really even be able to make decisions in the first place. So you'll have to be making decisions and like showing them the path first before you can move on to other leadership methods. Yes.
Yep. So thank you, Andrew, for that response. So just as you said, this is kind of like the opposite, if some of you might have noticed already, of democratic leadership. Where in democratic leadership, you need your members to like be experienced and be giving you good like feedback and constructive opinion, right? But for autocratic leadership, it works best when members are they don't really know what to do. Like in just now's earlier example, if you told a fisherman to farm and a farmer to fish, they don't know what to do, right? So as a leader, you can't just leave them to themselves. You have to be there to like, okay, this is how you farm, or this is how you fish, or like in a St. John context, this is how you teach first aid, this is like blah blah blah, right? Okay, so we'll skip this part in the interest of time and move on to laissez-faire leadership for now. So laissez-faire leadership, these leaders are hands-off and they take a back seat rather than drive. So the trick here is that they ensure that the team has the right amount of resources and the rest of the space is granted to the team for free play. So in a St. John context, who might we then use laissez-faire leadership on? So maybe the senior platoon, right? So people who really know what to do, have an idea of like what to do even without you interfering with their training. So what are some problems, potential pitfalls? So the last point, what are some potential pitfalls, problems that laissez-faire leaders might face? Maybe I'll just get one response, or you can type in the chat before we move on. So to recap, right, laissez-faire leaders are hands off at the back seat. They're not driving. They're allowing the team to just run. The team is not ready for such style, becomes unmotivated. Okay. Pressure from teammates. Figuratively. Okay. Daniel, maybe you can share a bit more. Like, what does pressure from teammates mean? Daniel, are you there?
what I mean by that is like when they have trouble coming up, because the leader is not like directly into the work itself, so it indirectly knows what is going on. So the problem is that the teammates, if they have problems, they cannot consult the leader yet because the leader doesn't actually like know what is going on. They will need to ask someone else. So that's why.
Okay. That's quite a valid point. So we'll cover on that point like very shortly. Okay, Melody says seems lazy. Ashton seems lazy. Okay, we'll cover that as well. Ashton, leaders may face the problem of teammates who cannot lead and make decisions. Yes. Lacks direction. Might allow teammates to make more initiatives, but might not let the teammates the teammates do not heavily rely on the team leaders. Yeah, so that's actually a good point. Okay, so thank you all for your responses, and we'll actually see your like many or if not all your points in the next few slides. So let's see, right? So just as Zhishan has said, like the teammates don't rely heavily on the leader, and this level of trust that the leader gives them is very empowering because you can make more initiative on your own. So as you can see, the second point, that this encourages them to like innovate, right? To think on their feet. This encourages them to like do things by themselves. You don't need the help of the leader. You don't need someone to tell you what to do. You can decide what to do yourself. And it encourages team members to capitalize on their strengths. So what this means is like when there's no one telling you what to do and everyone is sort of the leader in their own right, this team can really perform really well because everyone can be tasked to do something that they are good at. But we can see from as many of you have mentioned, the team might get lazy, the team might not might become unmotivated, as Andrew said. So this is like sort of a lack of accountability. They don't feel like they need to answer to anybody since there's no leader that's there, right? And this can quickly lead to chaos and ineffective time management, leading to like, just missed deadlines and like many goals not being met. So this leadership has to be done only when team members are really experienced in whichever area of concern it is. It must be done only when team members are actually motivated. Like imagine telling unmotivated people, okay, I'm gonna leave you guys alone. You can, figure this out yourself. If they're unmotivated to begin with, that like might or might not motivate them, but it's very dangerous because they might just be like, okay, since there's no leader, we're just gonna, we're just gonna go now. So to address Daniel's question, Daniel said there was pressure from teammates, right? So it only works when this leader, even though he is not directly involved, he still has to monitor progress and performance closely. So like even if there's tension, he will know about it and he can give like feedback and he can give his comments and he can help the situation. Just that the only difference is that when a leader is not needed, he is not gonna be like in the picture and telling everyone what to do. He's just gonna be observing at the back. So that's like a slight difference. I hope that's clear. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the last type of leadership style that we're gonna learn today. And this is the servant leadership. Okay, so this leader places the needs of others above themselves. That is very selfless. They focus not really on the job at all, but they actually focus more on the people that's doing the job. So an interesting question to ask here is, what is the difference between a servant and servant leader? So maybe you guys can type the responses in the chat. I think this is quite an interesting question to think about. So maybe I'll go back to the previous slide first. So this is a servant leader, right? What's the difference between a person who shows these characteristics from just a servant? Like why does the leader word matter so much here? You guys can type your responses in the chat. Okay, maybe this question is, oh, okay. Hi, Melody. Groupmates won't help. A servant works for others. Okay. But a servant leader might also work for others. A servant leader helps others. Ah, okay. That's a clever twist. So instead of just like blindly, mindlessly just working for someone, you're actually helping them. You're not just following instructions. You don't try to actually develop the person or they're not responsible. Yeah, okay. Wow. I'm actually pretty amazed by the quality of these answers because I wouldn't have been able to think of these answers back when I was a cadet. Okay, Melody, maybe you want to clarify, like talk a bit more about group mates won't help.
If you place your own satisfaction above, when you help others do that, then they won't like do themselves and they'll take advantage.
Okay. Yeah, okay, that makes sense as well. Thanks for clarification. A servant is being told what to do or forced what to do. Ah, okay. Thanks, Luffy. I hope I'm pronouncing it correct, but that is a very valid point as well. So I don't think I have a slide on the answer, but basically my answer to this question is very much the same as all of what you guys have said. It is that like a servant leader, a servant, right? He just takes an order, like whatever the master says, okay, fetch me a glass of water. He just like, okay, yes, sure, I'll do it. The objective is simply to fulfill whatever the order is. But a servant leader finds out what his team needs. So like maybe like let's say his team really needs a glass of water. He can think on his feet like, okay, can they get the glass of water by themselves? Or do I really have to get it for them? So like a servant leader has an additional like brain space to think about how he can support his team and to guide them to becoming the best version of themselves while achieving the task at hand. So he doesn't just like, you say what, then I do what. I figure out what you want and I think about how I can best help you to get what you want while also like developing you as an individual, making you more responsible, making you more like initiative taking, whichever. So this is also something that we want to try to do as NCOs for our juniors in future. And hopefully what your NCOs are doing for you now. Okay, so servant leaders, the pros and cons. So the good thing about a servant leader is that it boosts morale. I mean, definitely if you have a leader who is out there loving all the team members, everyone's going to be really happy about it, right? It builds a lot of trust amongst the team. But the bad part about this, or rather the challenge about this leadership is that it takes a long time to achieve positive results. Once I say I'm developing an individual, it's not going to be done in like a day or two. You need like not even a week, you need maybe like years or like at least a few months to be working on it to have some sort of results showing. And like it is really hard, like as a human, to like prioritize the needs of others above yourself. So like, a good example I can think of is maybe like as an NCO, right? You might at times meet sort of cadets that are like they don't listen to you or don't believe in what you say, very rebellious cadets. And like if they keep disagreeing with you and they don't listen to anything you're saying, and it sometimes you feel frustrated, right? But as a servant leader, like the challenge here is to continue thinking solely for their sake. How do I better nurture this person? It's not even about, hey, like, why am I trying so hard when this cadet doesn't care? You're not prioritizing yourself at all. You're just thinking constantly and consistently only about your cadets and your followers, your team members. So that's really hard to do. But once you can get that right, you will be a great leader, great servant leader. So this is just a list of more values that hints you all can add to your Gingerbread Man. So a leader practices empathy towards the needs of their team. He's very aware of like his own like beliefs of what he holds dear to his heart. He's good at communicating his thoughts and like building bridges between his team members, and that foresight and commitment to like the personal development of each of his members. So these are, if you find any of these points like convincing, you can add it to your Gingerbread Man. That's something you wanna like pick up as a leader. Okay, so now that we have covered all the styles, let's take a look at Steve Jobs, sort of a leader, I guess, since he's the founder of Apple, and a bunch of things he said. So as you look at his quotes, I want you to comment on the leadership style that you think he's using in the chat room. Okay, so I'll just leave each quote here for a while. So this is the first one. You want to make everyone happy, sell ice cream. Okay, so chat room, what do you think? Which of the four leadership style do you think it is? I'll post all four up. Autocratic. Okay, so these are the four options you have. Choose, which one it is. Okay, keep it going. Try not to be influenced by other people's answer. This is, your answer. Oh, sorry. Okay. Okay, this is the next one. Oh, I'm sorry for that. An advertisement. Okay, so this is the next one. Autocratic leader. Okay, I'm gonna skip to the next one. Oh, sorry. This is the next one. So it doesn't make sense to hire smart people and tell them what to do. We hire smart people so they can tell us what to do. Kind of quite a witty quote. I like this quote quite a lot. Democratic, okay. And this is the last one. Management is about persuading people to do things they don't want to do. Leadership is about inspiring people to do things they never thought they could. Democratic was servant. Personally, I think this is a bit more democratic and servant as well, because of the words inspiring, and you're developing people to do things they like never thought they could do, right? So they're becoming better. You're developing them. You're not just focused on like the task, on telling people to do things, but you're like thinking of how to make these people better as individuals. So let's get back to the lecture. So there are many different things about what people say of his leadership style, right? Some people say we can see that sometimes he's a laissez-faire leader, sometimes he's democratic, sometimes he's autocratic, sometimes he's a servant leader. But there are a few things that critics say that they're the same about Steve Jobs. So he had passion. He was unwaveringly passionate. A passion for the company. So what do we see here? So remember what I said about leadership styles being like clothes. So you don't just wear the same thing every day, right? You mix and match your clothing. You can even have a shirt, you can have a jacket on at the same time. In the same way, there is no perfect leadership style. And great leaders are people that can blend different sort of styles to suit what they need. At the same time, we also learned that there are similar values that all great leaders share in common. So the second point, but there are consistent values that great leaders have in common. So like how Steve Jobs is passionate, right? So no matter what leadership style you might choose to wear as a shirt or clothes, what makes you, like the person inside these clothes, a good leader? So on that note, let's watch a video by Simon Sinek. Okay, let me share screen. Hold on. Sorry for the delay. Okay, there we go. Okay, we'll have to skip the ad first. Oh, and let me share my computer sound as well.
Idea he did was codify it, and it's probably the world's simplest idea. I call it the golden circle. Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do, 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And why should anyone care? Well, as a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because they're easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done, that's how most sales is done, and that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do, we say how we're different or how we better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We have, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You're ready to buy a computer from me. All I did was reverse the order of the information. What it proves to us is that people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This explains why every single person in this room is perfectly comfortable buying a computer from Apple. But we're also perfectly comfortable buying an MP3 player from Apple, or a phone from Apple, or a DVR from Apple. But as I said before, Apple's just a computer company. There's nothing that distinguishes them structurally from any of their competitors. Their competitors are all equally qualified to make all of these products. In fact, they tried. A few years ago, Gateway came out with flat screen TVs. They're eminently qualified to make flat screen TVs. They've been making flat screen monitors for years. Nobody bought one. And Dell came out with MP3 players and PDAs. And they make great quality products, and they can make perfectly well-designed products, and nobody bought one. In fact, talking about it now, we can't even imagine buying an MP3 player from Dell. Why would you buy an MP3 player from a computer company? But we do it every day.
Okay, so interesting, right? I'm gonna share my PowerPoint again. All right, so I hope that was as interesting a video for all of you as it was for me. The first time I watched it, I kind of got like goosebumps because it was like, oh my God, yeah, Apple's advertising actually is so strong, and like maybe this is why, right? This is just a screenshot that I took from another YouTube video about traits that all great leaders possess, as the title says. And there are tons and tons of videos online that each like talk about a bit different things about traits that leaders possess. But here are just 7 to name a few of them. So again, if any of them resonate with you, you can note them down in your Gingerbread Man as a characteristic or value that you want to have in the years to come. Okay, I'll move on to the next slide in about a minute. Okay, so in the next 10 minutes, I'll send you back to your team rooms, and here's where you share with your teammates about how your Gingerbread Man has changed over the lecture, whether it has changed, it's fine if it hasn't, and anything you've learned so far, maybe any thoughts about the video you've just watched. Yep. So I'll open the rooms now.
Hey guys.
Hi everyone, so I hope that was a fruitful discussion. Okay, so in order for us to understand what kind of clothes best suit us, we must first understand ourselves. So that brings us to key learning point 2. What kind of person are you? What's important to you? So to develop your distinctive leadership style, you have to know this. You have to be clear of your own beliefs, your own values, and your own ethics. So self-awareness, what is it? Self-awareness is, put simply, well, being aware of yourself, of what makes you unique, what makes you you. So why is this important? Well, self-awareness, knowing yourself better means knowing better your strength, knowing better your weakness, the kind of things that motivate you, the kind of things that you don't like. So this allows you to be better prepared to respond to different situations. And the government actually provides little quizzes that tells you about yourself. So you can search our skills future work values, and I'll just send the link on the chat. Yeah, I just saw the chat. I'm sorry that some of the groups didn't have enough time to wrap up, but I hope you all had a fruitful discussion anyways. Okay, so this link is for the work value quiz. You can just take it at your own time. It's not compulsory, but I would suggest that I'll highly recommend it. And there's also the other quiz that's called the MBTI. Some of you might have already heard of it before. I will also send the link on the group. Oh, wait, this link is. Well, let me just search for the MBTI quiz for you guys. Sorry, I had to add the www dot. Oh, okay. Thanks, Jeffrey. Yeah, so that's the link for the MBTI test. It's a popular psychological test that like psychological scientists have spent their lives researching. So we can trust science. So these quizzes they're not gonna describe you 100% because each of us are unique, right? But you might be able to find out a little something new about yourself that you didn't realize before. So like no harm trying to do a few quizzes, right? So the third learning point here is that finding the right style is not only about knowing the kind of person you are, but the kind of team that you are leading. So perhaps if you had a platoon one, just as we were talking about the different experience levels, right? Even if you're actually a very kind-hearted and a listening person, but platoon one, like they're just really lost, and maybe not all platoons. This is just an example. Given that this platoon is really lost and confused, or maybe they're not motivated, it's hard for you to, you might want to be kind, but like the fact is that sometimes if you want to get things going and you need to get them towards a certain direction, or maybe to develop them in a bigger picture, you might have to be more harsh and develop a more autocratic style where like you're not making decisions while listening to them all the time because you just cannot afford to do so. Or like, let's say you're in platoon 3, maybe you're very straightforward and direct, or you're a very like hands-on person, you like to be involved. For platoon 3, it's crucial for them to have that space to like develop themselves and to like find their own leadership style and their own potentials, right? So in such cases, even if you're a very hands-on person, you might want to take a back seat more. You might want to like distance yourself a bit more and let them like try it out themselves. So leadership also depends on the team members. Okay, so here are some questions that you can think about. So let's look at let's just look at the first one. So can a servant leader be a democratic leader? Can a servant leader be an autocratic leader? You can type in the chat box or just unmute and just like shout an answer. Maddie says yes. Anybody else? Xi Jinping. Okay, yes. Leader should have multiple styles. So yes. Okay, so I'm glad that most of you in the chat box, I mean all of you in the chat response has gotten the lecture thus far. So the answer is yes, a servant leader can be an autocratic leader at the same time because great leaders adopt multiple styles and blend them to suit their own needs. So well done. So that the examples will actually, do you have time? Okay, actually we have some time, so we can do maybe we can think about an example together when a servant leader would need to exercise his authority over the group, but yet still a servant leader. I understand this takes a bit more time, so I'll give maybe 1 minute. Then you can either share your response in the chat or like you can just speak. So we're looking at the second question where it says an example where a servant leader would need to exercise his authority. So an example when the leader is both a servant leader and an autocratic leader. it'd be helpful if you guys think of it in your St. John context. So it would be like more. Though I'm not sure how much like experience you've had because of COVID. Hi Melody. So when the group depends too much on the leader, that they don't do their task. Melody, if it's okay if you maybe wanna like elaborate a bit more on this response. Or you can elaborate in the chat as well, or like just talk. In this example, where's the servant leader then? Yeah. Thanks, Vincent, for that. So maybe off my head, one thing that I'm thinking of is help the groupmates too much. Help the groupmates. Okay. I think I get what you mean. So helping the groupmates is the servant leader part, but scolding them, I guess, when they depend too much on you is the autocratic part. Okay, thank you for the response, Melody. For the rest of you who might still be thinking of a response, right? So maybe you could think of it as servant leadership, right? Servant leader is someone who cares about the development of his team members. An autocratic leader is someone who is typically like harsh, commanding, and on his team members, and like you're not really stopping to listen for their opinion. You're just telling them, hey, you like do this, do this, do this. So like instinctively, you might be thinking, hey, if someone comes up to you and say like, yeah, I just want you to like do A, B, and C, without asking you for your opinion, that doesn't sound like he's trying to like really develop you, or like, oh, that's a cute cat, by the way, whoever it is. Yeah, but think of an example where where a leader can be harsh, but at the same time the leader is trying to develop you and not just trying to be harsh for the sake of being harsh. Maybe you can have one more response. How about Zhi Xuan from Bukit Panjang? Zhi Xuan, are you there? Okay, maybe someone else? How about Dania from Kanji? Dania, are you there? Dania from KSS. Dania. Okay, I think people are taking toilet breaks. Okay, let's see who's on the account. Filza, I see your cat. Filza, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think about when do you think a leader can be harsh, but also like be caring about his team at the same time?
I think the leader can be harsh when like the team doesn't want to listen to each other and it's like a very big mess. Then like he can like help to like voice everybody's opinions.
Okay, thank you, Filza. So what Filza just shared was correct, because a servant leader, like sometimes you don't have to show it through your actions, but even though you might be very harsh, you might still be a servant leader in the mindset. You're being harsh because you care for the team, and its productivity, and you want people to like stop fighting, you know. So it's kind of ironic, right? Because it's kind of strange because your team members are like quarreling, and to stop them from quarreling, it's hard sometimes to just be like, hey guys, I think we shouldn't quarrel. But you might need to be a bit more harsh and say like you know, just be more firm and strict on them. So that's autocratic, that's harsh, but at the same time you're doing it because you care for them. So that's an example of how like a servant leader might need to exercise its authority over the group. Okay, nice. So that brings us to our final learning point, that we have been talking so much about leaders, right? But at this present moment, apart from being leaders, being team members is also something that all of us will go through, or like am going through at this very point right now. So as team members, it's important to understand what kind of leader you're working with. In a St. John context, let's say you know that your NCO is the type that's more hands-off. It means that on our part, we should take more initiative to step up and to demonstrate ourselves, right? Or like vice versa, if on the other hand, if let's say your NCO is someone who is democratic, who tries to listen to your opinions and gather your feedback. So like in order to facilitate that process, it will help the democratic NCO a lot if you gave your feedback so that he can use them to, you know, better craft out a better training and etc. So like as team members, it's also important to understand different leadership styles. Okay, so with that, let's do a quick quiz.